Shalom, family. So I know we prayed, read the word, maybe even checked out Pastor Kofi's many videos. Won't be disappointed, I promise. Really quick, I was telling you guys on my last video that I am watching a new series called Outlast. That's what it's called. And it's a survival show about a group of people that have a plan, work together. They're, of course, trying to win a competition. There's an opportunity to win up to $1 million. And plan. Now, when they brought them out there, they gave them limited um, tools and supplies. It was 16 initially, four in each. So how it works is the four of you guys live out on the land. That's all we're doing. And each group is in different areas. They're all in Alaska. So each group is in different areas. Two groups are near each other, not near, but on the same side. And then the other two are across the water and they're near, not near, but closer to each other, same side. So if someone's injured, you're sick, you just can't take it anymore, they give you a flare and you are to shoot the flare up. And then that means not only do they know the people that come and get you, but the other teams know that somebody has left the competition. So, like I say, each group has four contestants in it, and this one group, I don't know what was really going on. They could not get a fire started. It took them a week to get a fire started. Now, the other groups, they had already got their fire started, because once you get there with your limited supplies and tools, you have to put a shelter together and, of course, get a fire and possibly, start hunting for food or whatever. So this one team, they were doing, it seemed like everything they could to get this fire going. It took them a week to get a fire started. And it gets cold out there. It's Alaska. Um, Temperatures are high, people are frustrated. So one of the young ladies, she's former military. She's like, I can't deal with these groups. It's a week to get a fire started. It's like this is too much. So she walks off and she goes to another group. So now that group left three in there. Um, Someone got sick, another flare. That's a flare. So now that group, they have two. So now there's two people left, and then the other person got injured, or it might have been injured and then got sick. I can't remember exactly, but yeah. So now there's one person left in this group. So now you have to be in a group and be eligible to win the money. So now that he is the only one in this group, now he gets an opportunity. He knows where the other groups are, but they're far apart. Like it's a 5 mile walk from where he was to go to the other camp to see if they will let him stay. So that there'll be a team of five. Now you can go and sell yourself and see if you can get them to, you know, um, let you in or whatever. But it's a gamble. Now the funny part about it is when it first started, they they send them over into the area where they're going to drop them off at, but they're not allowed to talk to each other. They just looking at each other. They're trying to size each other up. They're trying to figure things out, but you don't get to talk to each other at all, and you don't even get to talk to each other until after you pick your groups, and then once you're in your group, then y'all can talk to each other. So they don't really know a whole lot about each other. So now here he comes. He's coming over. He wants to see if they'll let him in his group. And they're just like, he's like, they probably not gonna let me in. Man, this is so crazy. He's about in tears because he really does not want to in the competition. He wants to, still be in the winning. Eligible. He still wants to be eligible, excuse me, to win. And so, they all was like, well, you could go over there and, let us talk amongst each other and we'll see. Now, initially, once they saw there were two flares that went off um, over there, so they knew, immediately how many flares was gone. So they're just like, while they watching these flares go off for that team over there, they're like, yeah, we don't want nobody over here. We're cool over here. The four of us, we get along. We know how to pull our weight. We've come together, and kind of got a bond. They've been hanging out with each other for a minute, working together and doing all the things. So they had already made up their mind. They weren't letting anybody else in. Here he comes. He's, trying to plead his case. Please, I kind of need y'all to let me in so that I can still be in the eligible contestant. So they go talk about it, and it was like I said, it's four in a group. So two of them had already made up their minds. No, we're not letting nobody else in here. We good with the four of us. They're already talking about we already got to split the money. So splitting this money four ways is enough. Five is too much. Because for the majority of the people that they really say that they need this money, they need it. So okay, he was defeated. Like even after talking to them, he's looking at everybody's faces. He's like, man, they're not gonna let me in. He's like, but I gotta try because you get 24 hours to either flare out or connect with another team. So he's really feeling like he's gonna have to walk the other way to the other team. I think it's like 20-mile walk to to the other side to get to one of the other teams. And so he's just like, oh, man, this is not gonna work. So they call him back over and they decided that they were gonna let him in. After like I said, it was two that already had made up their minds. They was like, yeah, after we listened to your story and you kind of just put your life on the line like that, we couldn't say no. And I was like, look at that. That's a nice thing because, a lot of people will be like, no, we're not letting you in over here. You have to figure this thing out and let them go. And I always tell my grandson, everything happens for a reason. Everything. Because it's all about the choices that we make, right? So when they chose to take him in, when they choose to take him in, so now they get to get all of the gear that everybody else had in his team before, right? So now they're gonna walk over and they're gonna um, go get his stuff and bring it over to their camp. So which is great because, like I said, they get limited everything. Now they were already like not having a whole lot of food. It wasn't like a whole lot of food out there because, like I said, they are limited everything. They give them limited everything. They really want them to live off on the land. So as they decide to say yes, you can come on in, they walk back over to his camp so they can bring his stuff over, and they find this big fish just laying there. And that man said, he said, "See, that's a blessing." And the other guy said, "You know what? I'm starting to believe." I think the guy's name is Joseph. He said, "I'm starting to believe in who he believes in." He's like, his belief system is like really serious. And he just said, the Lord will bless us. He will get us through as long as we are doing the right thing. He'll make sure we get what we need. And when they saw that fish, and I mean huge fish just laying there, they're like, he says, man, I'm not gonna lie, listening to him talk about this person or thing he believes in is annoying. He said, but I don't know though. He said his it might be some truth to what he's saying. I don't know. It makes me want to think about it. Now I don't really know what his belief system is, or what he said, or who he's praying to, or whatever. But my thought process went straight to everything happens for a reason. It's all about the choices we make. If they wouldn't have chose to let him stay, they wouldn't have got the fish. And it was huge fish. Huge. I am not kidding. It was a huge fish. And after they get the fish, the guy was more or less was like, see, he will provide. He will provide. But it was the choice that they made. Because they could have not said, they could have told him, nah, we're not going to take you in. Now, he wouldn't have went back to his camp because he, like I said, he only gets 24 hours to either flare out or get connected with it. So he's got to keep going. It took him 4 hours to get over here. So he had 20 more hours to either flare out or connect with somebody. So he wouldn't have saw the fish either because he would have gone the other way. But because they made the right choice, they get to feed for probably a nice amount of days for the five of them now. Choices. I know y'all probably think I'll be tripping sometime because like every little thing I think about reminds me of the truth I'm learning. The Most High will provide all your needs. That is what He promised us. As long as we are doing what He's asked, as long as we are following the will that He set for us, as long as we are abiding by the commandments and um, the holy days, we celebrate the holy days. He makes sure that we have all of our needs covered, like literally. Choices. I don't know. Maybe that didn't mean a whole lot to y'all, but I was just like, oh, look at that. Look at that. And that's all that God kept saying. What a blessing. What a blessing. I'm like, yeah, look at the choice. Look at if y'all would have chose no, then that fish would have who knows, right? But because of the choice you made, now y'all get to eat. All praises. Shalom family.